Welcome to The Next Chapter, a show about how to move your life forward and what comes next. I'm your host, Carey Pena, co-founder of the Center for Positive Media. Hi, everyone. I'm Carey Pena, and this is The Next Chapter podcast. With me in studio, Marjorie Darlington. Your story of your next chapter is so profound. I was begging you to come on this podcast. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
When I met you, I was actually doing an interview about your father, a World War II veteran,
Correct.
A great patriot of this country. And when you and I were leaving the studio, we were just chit-chatting, and you happened to tell me a little bit about your story. It's so incredible. Let's start with talking about, you were married for a very long time. And can you set the stage with the challenges that you were facing?
Well, in the marriage, as it turns out, there were a lot of challenges. He was a narcissist with sociopathic tendencies, is what I was told. Constant judging, constant competition. There wasn't a whole lot of affection and love in that marriage. And, I had wanted it so badly to work. So a lot of times we put a lot of effort into it, and then the realization hit that it wasn't going to work. And I made my decision at that point after I heard some things that he had done and did not align with my lifestyle or the person that I wanted to be. And I made the decision at that point that I was going to divorce him.
And this was after how many years of marriage?
24 years.
How frightened were you at that time? Or were you at the place where you were confident and excited about your future?
I was at the place where I was confident and excited about my future. The pandemic was like an amazing time for me because it helped me self-reflect. And my friend Daryl was teaching classes at the time. And so I would be taking the classes that she was teaching, and I would use certain parts of her class to develop my life skills. The biggest one was judgment and complaining, and learning how, when you can get rid of judgment, that your whole life changes. And I'm walking proof, and, I'm going to be 73 years old. And my story is so unbelievable what happened, because when we finally filed for this divorce, in fact, I was having lunch with Daryl because it was my birthday and I wanted to do something on my birthday that would be memorable. I called the attorney and said, serve him.
Wow.
So that was, and then they finally served him, and it was interesting because it really reinforced why I was doing this, because unfortunately, he now has a file in Queen Creek for indecent exposure and things like that nobody should have to live with. Let's put it that way.
So for you were gaining strength. And I love the fact that you referenced your age. I wasn't going to ask your age, but since you talk about it, 73, I thought that was one of the things that was so powerful, is that it's never too late. It's never too late to change your life. It's never too late to get out of a bad situation. It's never too late to turn the page. That is why I wanted you to come on the show. But it took you a while to get there. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you were doing to help you become stronger, and the classes that you were taking that you feel helped you so much.
Well, I'm a practicing Buddhist for 52 years. And because of that, I always want to improve my life always have wanted to, and I strive to do that. Sometimes it's more difficult than others, but because I had the time now, and with Daryl, having known Daryl, we've known each other many years, most of those 74 years, or 73 years, I should say. And so it just really struck my life, judgment, complaining, always making fun of people. Anyway, all the negative energies that there are in life. There's, and you can allow yourself to become so engrossed in those negative energies that all you ever get in your life is negative energy back. So I decided, I went on a mission to try to change that. And I have little signs all over going, no judgment, no complaining. Happiness isn't about getting everything you want every day, because it'll have problems, but it's how you approach your life, all those, there's a quote, I can't remember it offhand, but anyway, so I put inspiring quotes. Life is best lived, being bold and daring. That was the biggest one for me, because that ended up changing my whole life. That was the where I was at that point, being bold and daring, giving up the judgment. This year, it's giving up being stubborn. I'm trying to eliminate the negative energies out of my life so that I'm only emulating positive energies. And the results have been unbelievable.
Well, and we're going to share with the audience in just a second how you actually reunited with your first love, the true love of your life. And that story is just so beautiful. But I want to stay for a moment with some of the day-to-day practices that have helped you. So you referenced Daryl several times. For the audience, they're not sure who you're talking about. So this is a coach, and talk a little bit about that kind of coaching that she does, and give everyone a little introduction to who she is.
Daryl Virginia Dennis is not only a friend, but she is a life coach, and she has written the book Quantum Living. So in other words, we're going into a phase as a humanity where everything is speeding up and people cannot keep up with the speed of, in which things are being created through, quantum physics, through computers. Now we have AI. All of these things are happening at such a fast pace. So she has given us a way to live within that quantum field. And one of the things is developing your intuition. When you develop your intuition by giving up judgment, so many things happen. Your life speeds up. It's amazing. It's amazing the things that come, and you don't even ask for them. And then, but there might be a thought that you're thinking and it appears. And
I can just see, for the audience who's listening and is not watching you right now, you seem so happy. And part of this for you has also been prayer. You call yourself a prayer warrior. What does that mean to you when you say that?
Well, I believe in the power of prayer. Absolutely believe in the power of prayer, whether it's Buddhist prayer, Christian prayer, whatever kind of prayer you believe in. I think they're all interconnected at some point. Having now studied quantum physics and energy, you look at, certain aspects of Christianity and Buddhism and Hinduism and Judaism and all of them, and they all come from this core. And so that's kind of where I come from now, and I just use my Buddhist practice to get there, because it's something that has served me well over the 50 years I've been practicing.
It brings you what?
It brings me, when I sit and practice it brings me, to this space of knowing. It's just the space of knowing and being comfortable. And, for instance, when you pray, it's going to be answered. You don't know, but you don't put expectations on it. You don't, like when I was younger, I used to micromanage my prayers. Oh, I want this and this. Oh, and it's got to happen now. It's got to do this. And, and every 5 minutes it would change. And now it's like, okay, this is what I'd like. This is what I need. And I give it to the universe and I pray for it. And I don't assign any kind of expectation as to when it's going to come into my life.
So did you have any expectation that you were going to get into another relationship?
No. I told my kids I was going to be a Buddhist nun. I was already, I was already my girls were calling me a born again virgin. So it was a perfect place to go.
So we have to tell the story. You went to California with some girlfriends. This was after you finally served your husband and you were moving on to your next chapter.
Right.
And you were in California, and what happened?
Well, it was probably one of the fastest divorces ever known to man, always a little over 2 months. So my girlfriends in Oxnard, California were throwing me a finally you divorced him party. Really, that's what it was. And a week before we were supposed to meet in downtown LA, we had all these great dinner reservations made, and we were going to shows and just spending a really fun girls' weekend together. And the week before we were meeting, one of the girls, her husband went in for a minor surgery and ended up in the ER and stopped breathing. So, he was in critical condition. We canceled the party. And I went to Oxnard and stayed with one of my girlfriends on the beach up in Channel Islands there. And so we were playing cards on Saturday afternoon, and they had already they were looking for him. Mm-hmm. And so a year before, I was still married, they found his phone number and actually called
a guy you went to high school with.
The guy I went to high school with, my high school sweetheart. And he answered the phone. One of the girls called the number. He answered, and my heart just sank. I was like, she goes, "Do you want to talk to him?" I'd be a blubbering fool, because it was like, what do you say? It was him. I knew it was. And I didn't know what his background was. The last time I heard about him or seen him, he was married. So I'm not into breaking up marriages. But now I'm single, and the girls are still, you've got to look for him. So we're sitting at Gwen's house, and my girls, Gwen, Ronnie, and Carol, I got to say, we are the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan, and they won't give up. 2.5 hours later, they're still looking. They're going through all these websites, to find people. And I still had the phone number that Gwen had gotten a year before. So I said, I looked at her, I said, why don't I just text him? And she goes, yeah, great idea. So I sent him a text message that says, is this Jeff Post that went to Granada Hills High School? If it is, this is Marjorie Darlington. That's how you would remember me. I'm going to be writing a story for my children about my life, and you were a big part of it for so many years. I'd love to get together. That was it. That was all I wrote. And everybody went, okay. Phew. So we started playing cards again. Literally, it was 1 minute, at least 1 minute. Bing goes my phone. I'm not thinking anything of it. And I read it, and it was like, oh my God, is this the Marjorie Darlington who was the first love of my life? And I was like, oh my God.
That is so incredible. And he happened to live nearby where you were.
He was literally across the street in the harbor in his boat. He was sitting in the boat.
And so now today, tell everyone what that has become.
Well, we are together since October 8th, and we just bought a house here in Hereford, Arizona together.
What does it feel like being in a relationship where you feel valued and you feel loved and, given where you came from?
It's the most exciting time of my life. It's just so amazing. I tell anybody, don't ever give up. Don't give up on your dreams. There's somebody out there there is. And I also tell young people, young girls or older women, write a list, make a list of everything you want in a man. That's what I did because Daryl was saying, make your list, be very specific, but don't, place expectations on it. And that's what I did because I had no idea who it would be if I ever would. That was 3 years before this all happened. And then leave it alone. Don't micromanage it. Again, just let the universe bring that person to you. In the meantime, go out and develop yourself. Be a happy person. You don't need a man to make you happy. It's just, it's nice to have the relationship.
If it's the right
the right one. And the other thing I tell them, you want the right man, go out and become the right woman. Go out and be that right person. So then when that right man comes along, you meet, you mesh.
What is your next chapter?
Well, we've got the house was amazing, a miracle in itself. It wasn't really even a miracle. I'd gone and we kind of made out what we wanted in a house, and it literally came to us.
Yeah.
And we were standing, because 2 weeks before we found it, we were like, okay, well, if we're getting a house now, we have to get dogs. And we started looking at dogs.
Whole new life.
Yeah, we're looking at little dogs, and it's got to be a water dog because we boat. And he goes, well, it's too early. We just give. And I said, you know what? It'll come. They'll be there when it's right for us. Literally, the new neighbors around the corner, their Labrador had 13 puppies. And we went, so we got 2 of them. But we just looked at each other because this just keeps happening. And it's kind of like the minute you live in this positive, because he's just as positive as I am. You know, he doesn't like being negative, and he's always tries to be uplifting. And
this must be huge for you, given the trauma that you walk through.
Oh, I look at him every day. We look at each other and go, can you believe this? Marjorie Darlington? I like about Jeff Post.
What message do you think your story sends to the audience?
That never give up. Your prayers will be your prayers will not go unanswered if you never give up. Don't ever give up the hope, because it's out there. And I'm telling you, at 70, it's really fun.
Well, you are such an inspiration. I appreciate you coming and sharing your story with everyone. You know, I just want to ask you as we close out, you know, if someone's listening to this, it seems easy right now because they're watching you, you're happy and you're living a great life. But when you're in it, when you're in something bad or you're in a hard place, it's not that easy. So what would you say would be a good first step for someone who's looking to build a next chapter for themselves that is more positive, that is more loving, whatever the situation may be? What would you say is a good first step?
Get Daryl's book and start reading it. No. No, that was actually, for me, those were the first steps, and then practice it, use it. And it's you do it every single day in your life. It's not something that just comes to you. You have to, stop judging. You have to physically and mentally stop judging. And I think the best thing for me was I stopped watching the news. Any of the news. Yeah. Because it just was such so depressing and so judgmental and so angry and nasty. I was like, I've got to get that out of my life. Anything that's negative and nasty, and surround yourself with positive, and you be the positive person. I wake up every morning and my prayer is to be of value to somebody every single day of my life, whether it's my father, whether it's my family, my friends, the waitress at the restaurant, whoever, to add some value, to put a smile on somebody's face.
And you never looked at age as a limitation.
Oh, no, never.
That is an important message, because I think a lot of people do that to themselves. They feel that, oh, now I'm 65, now I'm 70, now I'm 80. You are just so inspirational in your thinking, because it can all be limitless. The possibilities really are. Oh, yeah.
No, let me tell you, there's 70 is a great age for everything. I mean, everything.
Oh, Margie, you're the best. Thank you so much. I know you weren't 100% convinced that you wanted to start telling this story when I first spoke to you about this. So do you feel that it is the time to speak out and that your story can be of service?
Yes, that's why I did it. That was my prayer this morning, that whoever is watching this, I hope they get something from it, I reach somebody's heart.
Well, you reached mine.
Can inspire my good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And thanks to all of you for listening and watching. This is the Next Chapter podcast. I'm Carey Pena.